think. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. All right.
I need to see me though. Put the bunch of
Can you see right there?
No, put me right here. Much better. So now you can do both at the same time almost. Wait, why don't we just make this a little bit smaller?
I'm putting this in the video, so. Okay, so
Watch this.
right now we are at
That doesn't work. Oh.
Ryan's.
Oh no.
What are you doing?
Close.
Nobody knows how to use Photo Booth anymore because everybody uses an iPhone, but this is Photo Booth. Okay, so. Ryan.
Well, I want to be able to see it.
Okay, so we are at Ryan's grandparents' house right now. That is their house in the background in Iowa. And if you hear people cutting their lawn, we're very sorry because everybody seems to be cutting their lawn right
Wednesday
now.
is lawn cutting day.
I guess it's lawn cutting day here. So, but we were doing our Tumblr Ask video about our camper and living on the road and just general questions you guys had about that. So yeah, so we have them written down and we're gonna read them to you. We'll try to go fast so we don't bore you guys. So the first one is, for each of you, what is your favorite place that you have visited so far on the road trip together? I'm looking to travel more throughout the states and I want to know must-sees. So, I don't know, it depends where you already live, but my favorite place was probably California. I loved visiting California because I love that you can have the tropical weather and then you can have mountains and you have the ocean and cliffs and then trees right by that. And so I just thought that was really cool.
And for me, I think my favorite state was Arizona. I really liked it. I didn't think I'd like the desert that much, but I really did like Arizona and Sedona and all the areas. But my favorite city is Seattle. Seattle's always been our favorite city, I think, in the U.S. and maybe even across the whole entire earth. But yeah, we really like Seattle. It's a great place and a really fun place to go.
Yep.
I'll read the next one.
Yep.
All right. What's been the hardest part about your trip so far, and what would you say has been the highlight?
My hair looks so awkward right now.
The roughest part has been Chelsea's hair during this trip.
Yes. My hair has had a rough time adapting to different climates. Plus, it looked like a strange old 90s haircut for a while there. But no, the hardest part of the trip was probably when it was cold because you have to pay for your propane to heat your camper. And it costs a lot of money and it breaks a lot, and so you end up being freezing most of the time. And then the snow is just hard to drive in, and so the first few months of our trip were really rough because we like almost slipped off a cliff on ice and just had a lot of bad stuff happen. And I mean, it's a cool story now, but it was kind of stinky then. So
I think physically, definitely the cold weather and heat and all that stuff. But I think also too on a mental level, just not being around the same people day in and day out, and like having community with other people, just because you're kind of on the road so much that you just see different people in different states doing the same things, but you're not really part of their lives. So
yeah, you don't have like familiar like friends and family around you. There's something boring about routine, but there's also something comforting knowing like, oh, I can go down to the Starbucks I always go to and I see the barista that I always see, and I can stop in at Target and that same girl checks me out, and not checks me out like, checks me out, but checks me out like, you know what I mean. And so there's like a familiarity with that we don't have. And that's kind of sad because you kind of feel like a lost fish, just kind of with no roots or anything. So, but the best part of the trip, which is the most important part, is probably just getting to see so much and getting to meet so many people at the same time. It's stinky that you're not around people you know, but it's so fun to be around like all these new people and get to see different cultures. I think is really fun because the United States has so much different culture, from Florida to California to Washington, and it's so cool. I think it's so cool to be able to go into someone's culture in their area and go to their coffee shops and see how they dress and see what is important to them. And I think that's been really important for me, and it's helped me learn a lot about myself and about, I don't know, loving other people and loving them where they're at and just being friends with people.
I'd hate to just say I agree, but I really do agree with that. I think just getting to see different people and different mindsets and views on life from different groups of people really gives you a broader view of your own life.
Yep. And getting to do it with Ryan is really fun.
Yes. We've
had lots of fights, and it has made us closer together, and we really love each other. I mean, we've always loved each other, but I think it's really fun and hard to be with someone 24/7 all of the time. And that makes you have to really know yourself and trust the other person. And so I think this trip has made me and Ryan trust each other a lot more because we've had to rely on each other in so many different circumstances and so many bad instances and good, and when we've been lonely and haven't had friends around. And So it's made us, I think, even closer than we already were in so many different ways. So I'm really thankful for that.
I think it's made us communicate better with each other too, because you're in such close quarters with each other that you always have to either communicate well or you're going to be angry a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're in a little tiny camper, you can't be angry and go into another room. You have to work it out. So I think that's a good point. So okay. All right. Next question. Is it cheaper to live in a camper and pay overnight fees while staying in parks and traveling, or cheaper to live in an apartment and pay rent while not traveling? I'll let Ryan answer that because he's really good at these things.
I will handle this one. Obviously, it depends where you live. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah, and what you want to pay for an apartment, I think, too.
Right, what you want to pay for an apartment.
Yeah.
But, excuse me. But I think
Ryan has a cough.
I have a cough, so roughing it through. I think it's probably going to be cheaper to stay. It's always going to be cheaper to stay monthly in a campground other than going night to night. When you go night to night, you're just paying, a certain fee. But when you stay for a long period of time, they obviously are going to cut you some sort of deal for staying there. But overall, I think it's a little bit cheaper to stay in a campground monthly.
Yeah.
It all depends, like I said, on the camper you get though too, because you can get. We have a cheap camper. We got ours for very cheap, but I mean, you can spend a lot of money on a camper, and then it wouldn't be cheaper.
Right, and it depends if you live in a city. So like me and Ryan, we lived in the city, but we didn't want to spend a ton of money on an apartment, so we lived in like a studio apartment, and it was really, really, a great deal. And we could have afforded more, but we just wanted to travel, and so we decided to just live in a smaller apartment so we could have less stuff and we could travel more. And so for us, it's even a little cheaper than that, I think. So, and if you're living in a apartment that might be a little bit higher price range, it's definitely going to be cheaper. But yeah, it varies. So you'll just have to kind of check out where you want to travel and see the average price to stay in a campground per night, and then just kind of do the math there and see with your camper payments or whatever how much it is.
Also too, if you are going to travel a lot, if a camper, you might need a specific truck to be able to carry something that's that heavy, depending on what you have, which then it might not be cheaper. So yeah,
you got to take all that into consideration, and there's a lot of nitty gritty things, but I think you can do it. Like I've said before, I mean, we're not making a ton of money, and we can do it, for fairly cheap. As long as you're willing to look for deals and, you're not living extravagantly and eating out at like ridiculously priced restaurants every night, then you should be good. So it's fairly doable. All right. If you guys have room, what do you guys do about getting gas? Have you run into issues pulling in and out of gas stations or being blocked in? Since we've traveled locally so far, these people have a fifth wheel or camper as well. We have only been filling up our pickup truck by itself, so we're not sure how to handle it once we're on the road with the fifth wheel. Yeah, that can be tricky, but Ryan's a really good driver, so he's just like, I don't know, he could be in Fast and Furious with our fifth wheel.
Fast and Furious.
Not that he goes fast, he's just really good at maneuvering and stuff.
0 to 100 real slow. I think if you're not very comfortable with driving, it's always going to be better to just take the truck there, but obviously if you're doing extended distances, you're going to have to bring in your fifth wheel there. Most bigger trucks take diesel, and most people don't realize, but you can go fill up where the semis fill up, and it's very easy to get back there.
Yeah.
But other than that, just wait for the pump that you want. If it's off to the side where people aren't at necessarily, just make sure you always know how you're going to get in and out of spots. And
I think when you have a fifth wheel or a camper or anything, you have to get used to never being in a rush, and I think that's the main thing that was the hardest thing, just because I'm like a go person. I hate waiting, and I feel like everybody's looking at us and like they're judging us because we're sitting there blocking the entire gas station. And I think, I don't know how many months in, 4 months in, it's just like, whatever, like we'll wait behind this van until they move out of the diesel pump, and it's okay if everybody's staring at us and mad at us. I mean, it's just life, and we have to be okay with.
And they'll really be looking at you when you hit somebody. So then it's even worse.
Don't hit anybody. But anyway, it can be hard, but I think do the end. Usually diesel's on an end pump, so do the end pump, and then usually gas stations, they accommodate trucks, so they have like a pull around in the back. So I mean, if you get stuck, you can pull around in the back. What we do is if we're in a tight gas station, like I'll get out and I'll back Ryan up if he needs to back up, and I'll just make sure I stop other cars. And it can be, at the beginning it was kind of embarrassing and like inconvenient, but you just have to know that it's a slower life. Like you just have to be okay with it being taking a lot longer to do it. But you can do it. I mean, it's not. We've been at every size gas station, and
I'd say plan ahead a little bit too, because your gas stations right off the highway are normally going to be bigger, whereas if you're in like a downtown city, like you might have a very hard
Don't go
time
into cities. Do
getting
not
them
go
out.
into cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, go off highways.
Yeah.
The couple that we've been in cities have been really like terrifying.
They're just tight turns
and
stuff.
we don't want to hurt anyone or hit anyone, and so yeah, it's much easier to get gas off a highway, and we keep like a big gas, like what is it called?
Like a 5-gallon gas thing with us.
Yeah, like in the back of our truck, and so that way, oh, my thing's gonna die. That way, if we run out of gas, which we've run out of gas like multiple times, just because sometimes you're out in the middle of Wyoming and like they don't ever have gas stations for hundreds of miles.
Yeah, we've gone 120 miles without a gas station.
And so yeah, you need that. So sometimes it's good. If you're gonna run out of gas, you just know, we have something in the back, we can fill up gas and get to the next place. That way we don't have to go into the city gas station where we could hit someone or we won't be able to turn around. So yeah, just take your time, think it through, get a gas app that tells you where there's diesel and what accommodates like trucks and things like that. That way you know what will accommodate your fit zone.
Cool.
All right. Sorry, we're both like leaning forward. How are you guys able to afford living on the road? Do you run your own businesses electronically? And what is the biggest issue someone should prepare for wanting to do the same thing? Sorry, I just totally blanked on what the first question was. Oh, living on the road. How do you afford living on the road? So living on the road is not super expensive. I mean, as long as you're making, I don't know, the average income in America.
I think it's like 25?
Yeah, like 24.
20, like 20.
I think between 20 and 25,000. If you're gonna do it like fairly cheap, you can totally do it, no problem. You just have to be really intentional with where you stay, and like what gas prices are and where you're going out to eat and where you're shopping and things like that. And so yeah, it's not unaffordable at all. I know it's kind of a crazy thing to just go and live on the road, and everybody thinks we're making the big bucks to be able to live on the road and travel and do all these experiences, but a lot of times experiences are not what costs the money. It's how you choose to live while you're doing the experiences. So we live very frugally, and we make sure we're very intentional with where we shop and that we're not getting things we don't need. We live in a camper, so we can't buy a lot of stuff, and so because of that, we're able to have the experiences that we have. Visiting California, going to the Badlands, just doing all these crazy things, because those things really don't cost that much money. It's the way you do them that costs money. So yeah, it's very affordable. Yes, I run a business electronically. I'm one of the founders of 4 amazing founders, and of Trades of Hope. And so we purchase products from women all over the world that are creating products, and we bring them to the United States and we give them a U.S. market. And we do that by selling through compassionate entrepreneurs, kind of like consultants. So it's a little bit like Mary Kay. And so we have about 1,500 compassionate entrepreneurs all over the United States. And so, yeah, so I work online. As we travel, I communicate with our artisans. We have a team of like 20 plus people that work for us in Florida, and they're amazing, incredible people. And yeah, so I do FaceTime with them. I do meetings with them via email. We set up software together. We do graphics together. We we design new products together. There's all kinds of fun things that we get to do. And we're actually, through our company, we're able to go all over the United States and speak to our compassionate entrepreneurs and kind of tell them the story of how we started and the stories of these women all over the world. We're able to come out of poverty and are able to make an income, and a lot of them have come out of sex trafficking and are able to feed their children and stuff. And we're just partnering with these women all over the world to sell their products here. So that's an awesome way to make an income online, is by owning your own business. And Trades of Hope, you're always able to become a compassionate entrepreneur, and you make an income off of whatever you sell while you partner with a woman overseas, and she makes an income. So that's a great way. If you're interested in making an income, go to tradesofhope.com and you can look into that a little bit more.
I think too, and it's a little bit about our personal life, but to give you some perspective, we're living off of one average income right now, being able to do all the stuff that we do. So, I mean, going back to travel and the cost, like if you can just find a way to make a steady income on the road, you can do all the fun things and much more than what we do. So
for sure, and you don't have to settle for the traditional mindset of what someone says a job is. If there's things you want to do that require you to live in one place, if that's your dream, do them. But for us, we love to travel, and so Trades of Hope is such an amazing way for me to travel, to meet our compassionate entrepreneurs that are all over the United States, to talk about these artisans that we're partnering with overseas, and how much we love them, and it's just a really, really cool opportunity. Sorry, we're going long. It's like 15 minutes.
What photography equipment do you use on the road, And what are your top 10 things you can't live without on the road? I'll take the photography one. I like to use the Kodak disposable cameras.
I love disposable cameras.
I feel like they really just make me feel like I'm a part of the moment.
Yeah, I just blanked. I'm blanking a lot. Yeah, I use a Canon 5D Mark II, not 3.
Mark II.
Wish it was 3, but I like the 2 a lot. And then I have a 50mm lens. It's a 1.4 f-stop, and then I have a no, I don't have that anymore. I have 24 to 70mm 2.8. So yeah, those are the 2 lenses I use, and I just use a tripod. We have a little remote thing that we haven't hooked up yet, but that's supposed to be really cool. I have a iFi card where you could just put the memory card into your camera and it downloads on your phone. So that's really nice if you're a photographer and you travel. You can kind of just post pictures as you go rather than having to wait till you get home and downloading them on your computer. I think that's everything we use. Oh, and my phone. I use my phone for 99% of my Instagram photos that are like landscape photos where I have to get a lot of scenery. I love my phone because, I don't know, it's just the quality of it is so much like better to see everything. So I love that. So.
What are the 10 things you can't live without on the road?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things I can't live without in general. I mean, I could live without them, but like in general, like my contacts, my glasses.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can I give you like a cliche answer? From being on the road, realize we don't really need anything. I mean, as silly as it sounds, like we just need each other because, like, I mean, we need stuff to do work. Obviously, like
my computer.
But like, other than that, like we really don't need much.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, like when you downsize, you kind of figure out like, wow, I really don't need all this garbage that is in my apartment. And not that it's bad. I mean, I'm not like, if you live in an apartment, you have lots of stuff, like we did. And
we don't need 4 sets of measuring cups.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. But when we downsized, like we literally got rid of 4 sets of measuring cups. Like who needs 4 sets of measuring cups? They were all the same, like 1 tablespoon measuring things. I just use a spoon. I don't even measure it out anyway. So. But yeah, so I think like really, to be realistic, like what I really would need is my computer. I mean, I work from the road, so if you're gonna work from the road, you need your computer. A source of internet. So we go off of our phone's internet, and we just have a big data plan. And then we try, almost like if we stay at an RV park, they have internet. And then we try to go to like coffee shops, which is fun because it helps us see the culture of that community that we're into, and we get Wi-Fi from there. So yeah, computer, internet. My phone for photos and my camera. I'll clump those together because honestly my phone you need a phone, so I guess I can't put those together. Phone and then camera so you can capture everything.
Bug spray for out here.
This is so hard. Whoever asked this question.
So many bugs. That's
I don't know. What else do you need? Food. I mean, do we have to say these things?
We like smoothies.
Yeah, smoothie maker. We got rid of our blender and we use like a little bullet, a smoothie maker. We literally have like 20 million smoothies a day. A coffee maker, because you need coffee on the road. So we don't have a coffee maker. We have like, what are those things?
A French press.
A French press, because it's small and it fits. And then we had a latte maker, but it kind of broke, so we have to get a new one. And they're pretty cheap at like Target, because I know some of you have asked me about it. And those are really cool. So coffee maker, okay, we're only on 6. This is the longest video ever. I'm just gonna go with it. If you watch this whole thing, you love it.
If you made it this far, you deserve the last 4.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna be though.
We gotta do them. Someone will watch this.
Can we say like cliche stuff like?
Ow!
Like
funny bone.
I don't know.
Like what?
Like everybody's always got to bring like a journal everywhere.
No, I hate journals, guys.
You gotta bring like a journal, especially when you do something
No.
like this.
Okay, if you love to write in journals, you should bring a journal. But I don't. My hand cramps up so bad when I write because I type so much on the computer now, which is really sad. But I just journal online and on Tumblr and on like a Word document on my computer. So that just goes back to the computer. But if you like to journal with your hand, yeah, a journal. So we'll count that. That's
I just
7.
have a perfectionist
Some
problem.
way to write. Some way to write on something.
So if I write and then like I mess something up in my journal, I'm just like forget the whole journal. I need to throw it out and start over. I don't know. Let's just go to the next one.
No. We have to finish. Okay, 8. Okay, 8. Or wait, 8. Yes, 8.
Our truck.
No, you can't. No, that doesn't count. Movies. You need movies because you don't have a lot of Wi-Fi when you're on the road, and you don't want to watch a movie on your data plan from your phone because that everyone knows that takes like a bajillion gigabytes. So you need movies. So go to the $5 movie bin in Walmart and get all of those C-rated movies that are like C+s and rom-coms with with
Who's
Ashton
always
Kutcher and
Ashton
Owen
Kutcher's
Wilson.
Owen Wilson. Any
For
Owen
the
Wilson
really
movie.
depressing nights where you're alone in the middle of a desert, you'll need some Owen Wilson movies.
All right, that's 10. All right, next. Do you guys ever feel claustrophobic in a small place or have days where you're constantly running into corners and walls?
Yes. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I do. I just open up all the windows because I get claustrophobic when we're in there at night. Like, I start to feel a little cramped. If it's messy. If it's not messy, it's totally fine. But I don't like mess. Like, I get really, like, antsy when there's messes. So if it's messy, and it does get messy because you're traveling, like, every 3 days. So I get claustrophobic when it's dark and messy. So I try to keep it clean, and then I open up all the windows in the daytime, so that way I feel like we're living outside and less like we're in a little box. I think living room wise is fine. I think just bedroom, like the ceilings are lower, and so when your windows are shut it can be dark, and so that can sometimes make you claustrophobic. But opening the windows, once it's sunny out and stuff, it feels really nice. So,
and obviously you've got to utilize your outdoor space. Like, we have a hammock, thanks Cassidy, so we use a hammock a lot, and then we have like chairs and a dog run for Darling and stuff. So, like, we try to use our outside areas a lot.
Yeah,
obviously.
so it kind of extends your living room into.
There's a part 2. Let me read it.
Wherever your, I don't know, wherever your campground is, you can kind of live in the outdoor space too, which is nice. It's like an outdoor kitchen or something. So.
All right. So, what are some of the things, like, if you could go back to the first week of camping, that you would tell yourself, and like some of the things you wouldn't bring, like kind of some of the stuff you've learned, I guess.
Oh, I don't know. There's so many things that we didn't know.
Take your time when driving. I mean, we don't have any accidents or anything, but just planning on taking a long time to get to places and not rushing. We didn't rush.
Yeah.
And we still found we needed to go slower.
Yeah, just go slow. Stay in campgrounds maybe a little longer, because we've gone really fast through things. We've had to for a job, but like if you have more time and you're not on a crunch, don't stay in a campground for 3 days at a time, because that's what I think has been really hard is like, okay, we're here 3 days and we're gone. And then when we're traveling, we literally, like, we're on the road, we'll call a place and be like, hey, can we stay there? And then we stay there that night, and then we get up and we go again in the morning. And then we stay another place one night, and it's like only one night since. So you feel like you're just like not even a real person, because you're just never seeing the same things. And it's, I mean, it gives you good perspective. It's a good experience. It's just, I would definitely choose to stay in places longer. So like in the San Francisco, we were only there for like 3 or 4 days or 4 or 5 days. So like I didn't feel like I really got to settle and like meet people and see what I wanted to see all of the time. And you can't get the best of both worlds, unfortunately. But just try to stay places longer. And I think bringing things, I mean, the good thing is about the world today, too, is, like, if you forget something or if you need to get rid of something, like, there's, for the most part, unless you're in Wyoming, which doesn't have a lot of civilization.
We were in a town of 232 people.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people there. But, like, for the most part, there's Targets and Walmarts, and, you can find what you need. A Home Depot if you break something or if you forgot a tool that you needed. So I think for the most part, yeah, you can get what you need. And then I think getting a good truck, if you're pulling a fifth wheel, making sure that you have a very reliable truck.
Invest the money in the truck.
Yeah,
not the camper.
We like our truck, but like it's a used truck, and so there's been some issues with it, and especially the model it is. We've had a lot of bad issues with it, and that's really scary when you're towing like 20,000 pounds. Yeah, so I think just make sure you have a really reliable vehicle and get everything checked out before you leave, because if you leave and something's broken, like you're putting your lives at risk and somebody else's, and so just spend the extra money to do that. So, and make sure there's never things in your bed, because you don't want things to fly out. And I don't know, lock all the doors before you go, because I've left things open and things have like opened in the middle of the road and stuff. Nothing flew out, but like, yeah, just make sure, just have like a checklist of things you have to do before you leave, and like make sure everything's checked off. So, okay.
I had one, but I forgot what it was, so we're just gonna skip me.
Okay.
You got one more or no?
I don't know. I think that's it. I think that's it. We finished with like 25 minutes. So if you watched this, you are the best, and we love you. And if you didn't watch it, we still love you, because I might not watch a 25-minute video either. So anyway, so thank you guys so much for following me and for following along on our adventures, and for asking us questions, and for praying for us and sending good thoughts our way, and just being super awesome and kind and wonderful. And I hope we get to meet you at some point on this tour. And
we got to tell them when the next video is too. You got to like set up the next time.
We don't do videos like a lot.
Well, we got to do more.
We got to do more. So the next video
We're gonna do one
will
without
be,
bugs. So I'm not hitting myself every 3
the
seconds.
next video will be, I don't know. I have a tendency
one
to
in July? Well,
overpromise
you don't have to
and
give, like, a
not to
date.
deliver.
What if we just do one in July?
Okay, we'll do a video in July. And you can tell me what you want me to answer. And hopefully it will not be 25 minutes. Because we just like talking too much. We wish you guys were here so we could just be friends with you all and talk to you in person and go out to coffee and talk your ears off for hours and hours, because we probably could. So, but for now, we will leave you with 25 minutes. So we love you, we think you're awesome, and goodbye from Cedar Rapids.
Bye, guys.